My name is Cece, and you're listening to the Giddy Gigmeisters podcast.
This podcast may contain unsuitable content and absolute buffoonery. Listeners' discretion is advised.
Previously from the Gigmeisters.
So I will say that 10 out of 10 times it will save you by just selling the facial expressions.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Your face can save lives, including your own.
Just like these thighs.
Oh, that's right. Smiles and thighs, baby. Smiles and thighs.
Yup, that's where the power is.
Haha, Tazar, it is the Giddy Gigmeister podcast. You're listening in high definition HD 4K, baby. And now, your hosts.
But speaking of striking that in performance, we have theater up next. That will be led by JCAT.
What's up? The king of theater auditions, obviously. So theater auditions, there's like 4 main things I want to talk about. The first one is dress up or mess up. The clothes that you wear to the audition. This is, I would say, totally different than dance. When you bring your headshot and resume, and I would say, yes, please have a physical one, but kind of how like we were talking about earlier, have a QR code on there, some on the or some barcode or something that they can scan, because if there's interactivity with the material that you bring, that makes you more intriguing. Like they remember, oh my gosh, I can use my phone for this interview or this audition. That's so cool. Have your audition, your reels or whatever website or whatever, have that on your resume. But the clothes that you wear in your headshot should be the same, or the same color scheme, or the same like style that you have wearing to your physical audition. Like when you walk in, you should look identical or close approximation to your headshot and resume. And I would say that only because they're going to forget everything about you except what you do in the audition room. So if you are matching your headshot and resume, that's another addition that they remember about you. There's also the perfume method. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the perfume method.
I'm curious.
If perfume or cologne, whatever, wear it to the audition, but also spray it on your headshot and resume. So that when you walk in and you hand it to them, they remember smells, because our 5 senses are a lot stronger. So they spark more memory. So they will remember your performance more, because they smell your scent is literally on your headshot resume right next to them, even if you're standing like 10 feet away from them.
It's giving like, Elle Woods.
It's giving full sensory experience.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I'm just gonna trigger the olfactory and make you remember me because of how I smell. Like they would never admit it. They would never be like,
exactly.
"Oh yeah, that's the guy that smells good."
Yes. Like even
but they
if
will
they
remember.
Yeah. If they forget everything about you, if you bomb it, they're like, "Dang, he smelled good." Dang, he smelled good. And then at the same time, have gum. Please don't be stinking. Don't let your mouth be stinking. Have gum, spit it out the second you go into the audition room or right beforehand. Don't let them see it. But just like, character choice with gum. So dress up or mess up. If you are looking sloppy, if you are looking raggedy, if there are creases, or if you haven't ironed, or your hair is messy, I mean, I would say, given whatever the audition is, like if it's Rent, you may get away with it. But come in looking professional, because they will take note of that. If they see wrinkles and they're visible, they'll remember that. But if you look clean cut and have nothing to be like, oh my gosh, what in the world? That is something that they can take off of their plate. If you're wearing a horrendous sequin dress that is like shining all over the place, and then you're just in there for a Shakespeare monologue, just be cautious of what you're auditioning for when you're planning your outfit, and have multiple headshots and resumes for everyone at the table.
For callbacks, because I
Mhm.
know in like the dance world, I have been told to wear the same outfit for the callback. Would
Mhm.
you recommend that for a theater audition?
It's that same mentality of memory of like,
Mhm.
if they're like, oh, it's that person who was wearing the tie that's like orange. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. So yes, at callbacks, always have your audition and callback outfit set aside away from normal clothes. Like, your everyday wear should never be worn to the audition room, just because, so you can always have access to the callback, because you never know when the callbacks are going to be
Right.
called back. So just always have it prepped and ready, so you don't have to like, oh, I need to go take it to the cleaners. Oh no, I should have washed it before. No, just have it set aside and ready. Um, Really, again, it just depends on the audition, because sometimes they might even be like, we really want you, but we need to know, and this probably more for film, but we need to see if this costume is going to fit well on you, or oh, we might have you try on these clothes at the callbacks or something like that. So it really just depends on, if you get a callback email or something, always reply with, thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity. Is there any material that I need to bring, or would you like me to wear the same clothes to my callback? Just respond and ask those questions if you can.
That's good advice.
Though, don't wear those clothes after and before said callback or like audition callback, because you will get stanky in those
Yes, you
clothes.
will. Yes, you
So
will.
always have that be your change of clothes rather than what you're like driving around in or going to work in or whatever. Like, I would say
Mhm.
make that a completely separate outfit. So when you wear it the second time, it's not grody.
Mhm. Man, I would even say, like, don't wear your audition clothes until you get into the building and then change.
Mm.
Because I know so many people that I've heard of, like,
Change
oh
across
shit.
the street.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
change there. Don't show up in your nasty work clothes and then
Change across the street. No, Julia's right. I didn't even think.
you audition from the moment you walk in the door. That's what they tell you in theater. From the moment you walk in the door.
Yeah, so change, because I know so many times people have like, oh, sipping coffee, and then I had to hit the brakes, and oh, my outfit. No, just find a place to change. Don't do it in your car, because there's actually a story I heard from one of my old directors. They actually were changing in their car, and the director of the thing that they were auditioning for walked past their car as they were changing, and then like waved. It was like, oh, hi.
Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
Oh no.
also know where you're going for the audition. If you have to map quest it, know the exact location, area, visit it before you go to audition there, just so you make sure that you know where you're going. Which
Don't be
goes in,
late.
yeah, don't be late, which goes into my next point: be Batman. Please be Batman. Batman is 10 steps ahead of everybody. He has already done the research. He's already planned for every scenario. He knows exactly when he needs to be there, and he's there before he even needs to be there. And he's hiding in the shadows, waiting for everyone. That should be you at an audition. You should have scoped out where the audition location is. You should know the history of the building you're auditioning in, the history of the people who are probably going to be behind the table, what materials you're going to be using, know everything about it, research it, study it. Like, everything you think you should be doing, do that times 10 for your audition. You treat it like it's the last thing you'll ever do, and the first thing that's going to get you where you want to be for everything else in life. Like, you have to be consistent and constant. Rehearse the materials. If they don't provide sides, then research the genre that you're auditioning for, and then look up sides for that, so that you're at least prepared. If practice cold reading, so like if you have a book around, or like multiple books or old scripts, read out loud, listen to yourself, record yourself, and then listen back, take notes, do it again. Be comfortable reading, blah, 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 blah. It's super duper important. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot.
You're good. No,
Not
that's
at
important.
all.
Callbacks can get people in their heads because they don't practice public reading a lot. Especially like if you don't get time to work with sides before going into that callback, those nerves are going to get you. So being as prepared and warm. And I almost, when you were talking, it's almost like it's a heist, you know, it's like you have to know where all the rooms are at and your exits and the bathroom and like have a plan. And like, I feel like auditioning sometimes feels like a heist because you're just like, I have to get in, do my job and get out. And you're right. The more prepared you are, the better your heist is going to go.
Yeah, like the what you were talking about with don't be late, and the second you walk into the building you're auditioning, you know, if you're gonna be, we're not advocating this, but if you're gonna rob a bank, you can't hesitate when you walk into the bank.
Right.
You have to execute the plan that's already been decided because you know, so you have to keep going, you have to keep working for everything that you're doing. Yeah, be Batman. Just he's everywhere and nowhere at once. And so he puts the fear of people, and he's not even there, and they fear him. They know who he is. That should be you, is that, you know, even though no one knows who you are, you walk into the room and instantly they know, oh my goodness, this is not the person to mess with, or this is the person who's gonna be in my show. Yeah.
I'm just gonna have Batman sit in for me the rest of this podcast.
Oh my goodness.
I believe this is the Michael Keaton Batman, just by the way. Be Batman.
Be Batman. Be whichever Batman you need to be. If you need to be the Val Kilmer one, we understand. George Clooney Batman, okay, pop off. But, you know, Keaton, yes.
Yes.
Keaton, yes.
I wish I was home to share my Batman tin. I also go by the Be Batman theme. JCAT, do you have something Batman?
I have like a ton of Batman comics. I believe that every what?
Batman just died.
Oh no.
He's back. He's back.
R.I.P. to a legend. But yes, be Batman, which then leads right into my third point: know everything and know nothing. So know everything as in know all the material, know all of the prerequisites to be Batman. But then when you walk into the audition room, come in with questions, have them written down and then ask the questions, because when you walk in, sometimes the audition people will be like, do you have any questions before you begin? Yes, I do, because was reading the sides and this one character has this line and I was confused because I want to deliver it like he's constipated, but my interpretation of the rest of the story is that he's actually, you know, taken a Pepto-Bismol before this. So like all of a sudden they know your track. They know that you are intelligent and that you've read the prerequisite information, but also they know what you sound like more. You get more time with them, and you can, like, say you've been practicing sides, all of a sudden they can give you a hint being like, actually, I saw this character as a middle-aged pirate. All of a sudden you change on the instant and you're just like, I know exactly what this person wants. And so then you can ask more questions. Don't be obnoxious with the questions. Have like at least one or two really good ones and then like a third stupidish one. But having questions allows you to be in the room more and get their interpretation, force them to interact with you. Which is my final point. You're in control. It's your audition. They're going to sit there. They've seen thousands of you. But if you demonstrate that you are the one in control, you own the room, you take up the space, then that's your audition. You are going to be proud of yourself no matter what, because you left it all on the floor, because you were there in the room. You're like, this is my room. I claim this. You guys are just the audience for me. I'm just going to demonstrate all the hard work that I've been putting in. I'm Batman. Boom. Ask questions about if you Batman. Ask questions if you can use objects in the room, if you can like walk around, or if there's a specific spot they want you to stand in, because then you know how much space you're working with, and then take up all that space. Be loud, be proud of yourself, because you put in the hard work. Now it's time to just show it off, but own your space. It's your time slot, so don't waste it. That's really all I have. Yeah, if you're gonna be a theater kid, be a theater kid.
Now it's time for To Be Read, because it's better to be read than dead.
Thank you, JCAT, for that wonderful theater audition breakdown.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of breaking down, I broke down and bought more books. I bought more books than I needed. I have ones I haven't read yet, and that is why we are introducing this new segment, To Be Read. So JCat and I have both pulled a book from our piles of books that are to be read, and we just wanted to share one. I'll go ahead and go first, since mine's probably more interesting. I have right here with me the autobiography of Molly Shannon. It is Hello, Molly. I've been wanting to read this for years. It's been literal years. I'm pretty sure I pre-ordered this one on Amazon. Oh, look, superstar.
Yes.
Pretty sure I ordered this one before it came out, and so I've had plenty of time, and she will be read one day. So thank you, Molly Shannon. Hello, Molly.
Thank you, Molly.
For all you do for us.
Well, I have a book from the anti-bestsellers New York Times bestseller list. This is not going to be as great as Julia's book. This book, of course, that I'm not reading is Christian Men Who Hate Women.
Oh. What?
Huh? What? Christian men who hate women? Who does your laundry? Who cooks for you? Who puts Band-Aids on your boo-boos?
That's what I was saying.
I know men aren't doing it themselves.
That's right. Dr. Margaret J. Rink, R-I-N-C-K, has written this book. Of course, this book is supposed to be a book about relationships, but the title is misleading in terms of like, yes, let's heal our Christian relationships. More so, it's like, no, this book is for Christian men who just hate women. And
I think this is one instance we could judge a book by its cover. I think that is allowed.
I am. I'm never reading this book. I will only judge it by its cover. And you know what? Good on you. Good on you. You made me buy this book. I saw it. Wow. I don't know how it's one of many books, including Meth Equals Sorcery.
Oh my gosh, save it for later. Oh my goodness. Meth is not sorcery, it's science.
But those are the books that I'm not reading. I might read the Molly Shannon one because Julia probably will forget after the podcast if she still has it.
But something that you will need to know how to read is a film script, because I'm up next with film auditions. I'm going to keep it tight because
segues.
Really, film is just the later coming of all the other arts, honestly. So a lot of the stuff that you've heard in the dance and the theater auditions, a lot of it applies to the film. And I would like to say I am pretty new to film. I've been only studying it for just under 2 years. And there's a lot of movies I haven't seen. So people are going to come at me if you ask specific ones in the future. But so first of all, where do you find a film audition? How do you know? How do you know where the auditions are? For theater, I would usually say look at the theater's website or their socials, and they'll probably tell you when there's upcoming auditions. But for film, there are specific websites because there are different types of projects. So directors or casting directors will go ahead and post job postings of the different casting breakdowns of like male and female, what age group, what race, gender, any kind of thing that you need to know about the film. Say nudity, that's a big one for a lot of people. If you're not willing to do nudity, it should say on the posting. And then you apply by making a profile and maybe paying the website. I don't know. Yeah, they're charging you money, but you're going to get jobs. So that's the trade-off. You know, you got to spend money to make money. online, you can look at websites like Backstage, Actors Access, Casting Connections, and there's different ones for different cities as well, but those are the big general ones. Now, when you see these auditions, they're typically not going to be in person. In my experience, I think especially after COVID in 2020, everything has been self-tapes. It's just easier for everyone. Like, not only do you not have to rush to LA to get to that film audition, now you can submit from who knows, Minnesota, Missouri, Wisconsin, wherever the heck you're at, making cheese curds, time to make movies. You can submit auditions. It's really, really nice. It's very convenient because a lot of projects, if they have a nice budget, will fly you out and accommodate you. They will tell you that usually on the posting. Whether travel and lodging is included. So definitely pay attention to the details before you submit to job audition jobs, because you know, you don't want to sign up for something that you're not available for or not willing to do. So usually a self-tape is just recording whatever sides they've provided to you for the audition. You will not be doing it live in front of other people. If anything, you will have someone with you, maybe a friend or a family member. Some people say your dog, but your dog really can't read lines. And they will be with you reading your lines so that you have someone to kind of bounce off of while you're recording yourself. Now, recording yourself, that is a whole big deal. Oh, I see a hand.
Yeah, what if your dog is Scooby-Doo and...
You know, that is its own episode. Wow. Get wrecked, JCAT. Sorry, what a perfect time to be interrupted, because I was interrupted and now you're interrupted. I'm trying to blow through my film bit here.
Go ahead, talk about how to record yourself for a self audition. Go ahead.
Yes, the self-tapes, you're going to probably need someone to film with you. It is preferable to having yourself record your lines and then put it in the video later, or just recording with silence. Both of those, I guess, are really awkward for casting directors, but everyone kind of has their own preferences. So definitely, though, when you are setting up your self-tape setup, you want to look good. You want to look professional. So if you can have a professional backdrop or something on Amazon that you can buy, blue screen, gray screen. I personally use my pink wall because it's different. Nobody else is doing pink. And it's a blank surface. So you don't want anything on your wall. You don't want a thermostat. You don't want the door jamb. You don't want your photos of your family. You want a blank background so they're just looking at you. And also they want to be able to see you. So you're going to have to light yourself properly. I highly recommend getting yourself a light ring off of Amazon. I bought one that came with its own stand. It was like, I think $100, but when it comes down to it, that's investing in yourself and in you as a business. So I think it's very important to have that lighting set up and other things. So like I have a window, I have my fan light, I have a vanity light that hits me. I have like several light sources, so there's not as many shadows on the back wall, because that can be distracting as well. So having a good setup just for your self-tape is a job in itself. And then doing all the prep work to learn your lines, get into your character. And then once you start recording, do not forget your slate. That is the part where you're going to get to be who you are, not the character that they're, wanting to see. So you always start off your audition with a slate video. I highly recommend doing it separate from your character lines on audition. You just say, "Hi, I'm Julia Jones, and today I'll be reading for this part. Thank you so much for seeing me," or whatever. Some cities, I think also, or some people prefer saying, "I'm from this city and I'm this tall." Those are things that should be on your resume, but, people don't look, people don't read. So that's fun. Self-tapes are a whole thing. They should honestly be their own episode. Just like JCAT said, you want to wear something that makes you look good, makes you feel good, something makes you feel confident. Some people like to dress kind of for the character that they're auditioning for, depending on how much details have been given. I have heard a lot of complaints about, like, there's a lot of hospital type roles in the business for some reason. So like nurses, doctors, whatever. And people will self-tape wearing scrubs. And I think some casting directors are like, "Oh, look, they put in the effort." But some of them are like, that is just too literal. And I know you're not a nurse. Like, how did you get scrubs? Or I don't know. But
yeah,
they
who
say
did you
sometimes
kill?
Yeah. They say dress to look like the part, but you don't have to fully dress as the part, if that makes sense. They also say to, when you're filming, try to do it from your waist up so they can get a good sense of what your body looks like, other than just like your neck up. I was like, "Hi, I'm Julia." If you're not watching the podcast and you're listening, I am very, very close to the camera. Don't do that.
Yeah,
cool.
don't do what I'm doing, which is not having your battery.
Not having a camera at all, JCAT. But if you had a really, really good audition, they may cast you from there. That usually would come as like an email. I imagine most people are doing email. But there also may be callbacks as well, which I think in those rounds tend to be more like theater. Usually at that point, they want somebody to come read in person. It might be the same stuff you've already done, or it might be new stuff. And they might test you with other potential actors that they want to use. So when you're showing up to in person, who's going to be there? Who are you performing for? It's not the same as theater. They may not have you all in a big room watching each other. So who's sitting behind that table? You might see a casting director. You might see the director. You might see, producers. You might see just even assistants. You won't know necessarily who's who unless they introduce themselves. But you just have to be prepared that the people behind the table want you to be the one, and they want to be friends with you, and you want to be easy to work with. So if you get to the callback process, congratulations, and just, keep winning. So man, there's so many things. Performing is a world in which you will hear the word no more than you hear the word yes. And I've heard sayings like, you're going to hear 100 no's before you hear your first yes. And I think that should actually encourage us to keep wanting to fail. You're not always going to get the role. There's a million people going for the same role, and they all look like you. And a lot of them don't either. But so always just, have confidence in who you are and what choices you make. And I think that's how you can stand out in your audition. One of the best advice I've been given by my film teachers is he says, throw it away. He's like, treat this audition almost like it means nothing. Like, don't put so much stakes on it. Don't stress yourself out. Just go in there and have fun and perform and do what you love doing. Show them that you're someone that's fun to work with. Just give them a little taste of you. And I think, honestly, that's the best advice I can probably give, because that's who they're really casting. They're casting you, as much as you like to think you're the character. But keep your self-tape game strong. Have confidence in who you are. A lot of building yourself up or building up your platform is also having a lot of social media, and or your own website. Definitely have that going as well, so you can update all of the projects that you're on and doing, and it becomes almost its own resume. Currently, my school had us set up websites for ourselves through Google domains. I think that's changed hands now, but it's only $12 a year to have your own webpage. So I have mine. It's JuliaGraceJones, I think, .com.
What a shameless plug.
I need to update it. I know, I'm self-promoting. Shameless self-promoting. No, but it's good because that's a good reminder that I need to go update it, because I haven't touched it in a couple months, and I've done a few different projects, and I'm going to work on new ones. So it's just a good way to keep people updated on what you're doing, and a good way for them to know you and your work and what kind of stuff you do, kind of like we were talking about with dance and them seeing you twerk on your Instagram. So have your self-tape game strong, social game strong, be fun and easy to work with, and know all your stuff. And I think that's about all I have for you. I think that's a wrap on film. Once you get on set, be a professional. Okay. Don't take all my awesome tips and then suck to work with. Oh my God. Or early.
That is an entire episode in itself, to be honest. Julia, can we talk about, just because, especially a lot of colleges will have in-person filmed auditions where you will come in and they will probably film you with a phone or camera. What are your thoughts on those, or like any advice on if they are in person and they are filming you, what's best, what's proper?
Yeah, I have a hot tip. It kind of goes more towards self-tapes. Theater auditions, you usually perform your monologue straight at the table, straight at the directors or whoever. Kind of like they are the person you're talking to. In film, that's kind of a no-no. In film, they don't want you to clock camera because it's actually very intimidating having that black piece of technology sitting right in front of your face. Something is very, very intimidating about it. But what my teacher taught me is that if you look literally just to the side of your camera, it changes the perspective of it quite a bit. So even if you're or if you're taping at an audition live, don't look directly into the camera. Look a little bit to the side, almost like you're talking to somebody right next to. Hopefully they have a reader for you, and hopefully that reader is right next to the camera, so that you can look at them instead. But I think film people maybe get a little more weirded out, especially if you're making too much eye contact during the auditioning part of the audition. You know what I mean? Like, because you are in character and they are not, the characters. So I would just say practice with the camera so you're comfortable with it. I think I initially was very uncomfortable with the camera being in front of me, and it took a lot of practice for it to be comfortable. So it's very different than performing in front of a live audience. As my teacher said, theater is performing, it's like a baseball field. You can shoot in so many different directions and you have to reach like that far back. But film is bowling. Film has a very small, like, lane that you have to try to aim for. Your audience is right in front of you instead of being, feet away from you, yards. I don't.
Agree.
Hello.
Agreed.
Don't bring math.
Kilometers.
We don't math here.
I just also would like to emphasize I am not a professional, and that I am just sharing all the things that I've learned along the way, and that we all continue to keep growing, and technology changes and the times do too. So just do your best to keep up and be a good performer, be a good worker.
Audition until AI can do it, and then you're out of a job.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, and then also major tip for all three sections, audition for everything. You may suck at dance, especially for theater. Usually if you're like, oh, I'm only an actor, I don't sing, learn how to sing. Have at least, a 32 or 16 bar song on hand all the time, because you never know. And
monologues.
Yes. Oh,
JCAT. We didn't talk about monologues at all.
There's just so much. There's literally so fine. We'll throw in a little. Okay, monologues. Having monologues memorized. Good. Okay. Yay.
We strike monologues. Actually, put that in the strike that. Monologues. Searching for them, performing them. That's it.
Yeah, it is so hard to find a monologue.
Our poor girl is going through it right now. Oh.
I actually have a funny story. So when I was in culinary school, there was a theater degree that you could get at the school, and so they had auditions for a play. And I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I actually wrote my own monologue and memorized it, just because like I was memorizing recipes that same day. So I was like, let me just kill two birds with one stone. So I just wrote it and memorized it, and I went in and auditioned with it. And I auditioned. They asked me my availability, and unfortunately, I was the culinary student, so like I couldn't match the date, so I couldn't be in the production, fortunately. But the director was like, "Oh my goodness, I loved that monologue. Where is it? Where is it from?" And I was like, "Hi, I wrote it," which usually is a big no-no. You really are not supposed to do that at all. But I'm a Black guy who's not super tall. I'm not basketball athlete height, and I'm also not Kevin Hart short. So finding monologues for people of color, for men that isn't like some yearning for something generic, like something that's actually important to me, those are so hard to find. So I just wrote a monologue. So she asked for a copy of it, and then I checked back with one of my friends who still goes there. He's getting his master's. He's like, "Hey, did you know that they still use your monologue as she still uses my monologues for people who come in who don't have a monologue for auditions. They don't just read that monologue.
Wow.
And so that was really cool to know. But like sometimes if you can't find something, make your own path and then ask for forgiveness afterwards.
Mm.
Ask forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah, you know, so just sometimes you have to work your way. But monologues, usually for Shakespeare, they will have, or you have to find it yourself. And Shakespeare is not all inclusive, I will say. So that can be tough. That may just have to be its own episode, is just monologues, because I love-hate relationship with those.
Yeah, monologues are not my favorite. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm going through it trying to find monologues for the workshop I was telling you about, Julia.
Yeah.
And it's so tough because it literally says, do not write your own.
Oh!
Big bold letters. And like it has been such a struggle trying to find a comedic monologue, because I have to have a comedic monologue and a dramatic monologue. Yeah, JCAT, you want to write me some monologues?
Like, I can write it.
Actually, I have some advice for people. Like, I got into a movie once because I did the Ferris Bueller monologue, but I tweaked it for like modern day. So like I made, so his references that he makes, I like made slight tweaks that I hid into the monologue, so they recorded it. And if they would really only have caught it if they A, knew the monologue, and B, if they watched it back and are like, oh, they threw that little tidbit in, that's so cool. That seems improvised, as though you did it on the spot. But if it's purposeful and intentional. So like I would say if you're looking for a comedic monologue, go for movies and go for comedy movies, and usually look for like, I don't even, maybe Julia, you can contradict me. I would say
comedy's so hard.
Yes,
there's so many drama ones out there, and comedy, they're the ones that there are completely overdone. So like for example, I feel like a lot of women have done the tuna fish can monologue.
Oh my god.
By Christopher Durang, and it's done by everyone because it's one of the only comedic female monologues that a lot of women can do.
I was gonna say take a dramatic monologue and make it comedic. I would say convert
drama.
I would say that's just my personal opinion. I think that shows you're more talented if you could take a sad dramatic monologue and make it hilarious. Because technically, yes, it's written as a drama, but it doesn't matter because it's really your delivery that they're looking for. I would say always have, the physical monologues to hand into them, but subvert their expectations. Come in with like, hey, I have the monologue from there's a sad movie that's like literally in my brain. Whatever sad movie or sad monologue you have, make it comedic and see how it plays. I think
that's a fantastic pro tip, JCAT. I think the only cautionary like red flag I would put up is that every once in a while in theater you will get a teacher that's like, well, that's not the context of that character in that show, and they clearly didn't do their research, and you're like, clearly you are stuck in a different era.
Right.
It was a choice.
I super duper agree with that, because
most of the time people would probably be respectable of it. I think they think it's cool.
Yeah, directors change the meaning of the words that they probably didn't write all the time. So, I mean, if they see an actor who is so versatile that they can play a dramatic monologue as a comedy and make them laugh, like that's, especially for women or female presenting actors or anything like that, there's nothing really good for you that has been written, or at least it's going to take forever to find. So use what has been getting men the top tier roles forever and just make it your own. Like, I don't see why not. It's there for you. Make it your own.
Yeah.
So yeah, monologues.
Yes.
Monologues.
Yes. Those are some good tips.
Thanks for listening to the Giddy Gigmeisters podcast.
Next time, we're going to be talking about industry rivals, both between us and in Hollywood, because there are plenty. Until then, fam, do we have any famous last words?
We sure do indeed.
You want to go first then?
Yes, I do. Famous last words. When in doubt, twerk it out. Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank
you. All right, JCAT, famous last words.
Spaghetti is straight until you get it wet.
Wow.
Yep.
More science with JCAT. And I'll go ahead and leave you with my famous last words. Keep the pimp hand strong. All right, we'll catch you on the next episode of Giddy Gigmeisters.
That's been the podcast. Tune in next time to hear Julia say,
"Thank you so much for joining us for the Giddy Gigmeisters podcast, episode 2 about auditions and justice."
Thank you, Batman.
Join us next time for our 3rd episode, Industry Rivals, both us and Hollywood.
It's important for auditions, the pimp hand. I feel like someone needs to walk into an audition with like a pimp cane and like the high top heel with the fish in it and like a pimp hat and like robe. Someone should just come in as a pimp and just pimp it out. That's not a pimp.
It's the Joker.
I mean, wouldn't he be Harley Quinn's pimp?
No. Wait. No, don't ruin the Joker.
Thanks for listening to the Giddy Gigmeisters podcast.